Welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast from www.englishwithkirsty.com. Here I'll be sharing with you tips, information and other learning resources so that you can improve your business English. And welcome back to the English with Kirsty podcast. And as I'm recording this, it's coming towards the end of 2025. And I thought it might be a nice idea to share some of the things that I've learned and to ask what you've learned this year, because I think sometimes we can be so focused on, oh, the year is over and now we're going to start the next one. And what are we going to do? What are our plans? What do we want to do better? And sometimes it's just nice to take a minute to reflect on, first of all, what you're grateful for, the good things that happened. And we did this in one of our networking sessions as part of the introduction. Everybody said who they are and what they do, because many of the people who were at that session didn't know each other. And then it was something good that happened this year, because even if it's been a difficult year, it's usually possible to find something, something good, something that made us happy or that we're grateful for. But then I started thinking, okay, what have I learned? And so I've got a couple of things that I've learned and I'm going to share, but also I'd be interested to know what you've learned, either in the comments or send me a message, kirsty@englishwithkirsty.com, or on LinkedIn, because yeah, it's good to share learning. So last year as in 2024 was kind of a journey for me, because I was changing a lot of things and there were some new things. I was focusing more on certain areas of my work, and it was a bit of an adventure. How do I want this to look? And this year has been more about, I began to establish what I wanted more of, and made my website and social media reflect that. And it was more about community, but not in the way of building a community like the English with Kirsty community. It's not about that. It's about finding my community, the people that I want to be around, meeting lots of new people and getting to know other people better, but also creating spaces where everyone can meet their people, and these people will be different for everyone, because we all like different people, we all need different things, and we can all help each other in different ways. So it was just setting up some spaces, particularly in the free networking and the language meetup, where people can meet other people, and then my job is done. I don't know what's going to happen after that, but I've definitely heard throughout the year of people helping one another, people meeting up, language exchanges, all sorts of stuff going on that has nothing to do with me, but they met in the spaces that I made available this year. And I think that's great, because everybody needs their own community around them. And in the learning series that I did for the podcast, I spoke with people from some communities much bigger than mine, and I didn't even know if they would want to speak with me, because I'm just a one-woman operation here with the podcast. But everybody was very generous with their time and their tips. And so some organizations and communities who have much bigger memberships than mine were also able to share how it works for them and a bit about their story, and also how they help others. So that was also really good, and a lovely way to meet some new people whom I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet if I hadn't had the podcast. So in terms of next year, I don't know what my word is going to be. I have no idea. I still have to think about that one. But in terms of what you can expect on the podcast, there will be a lot more of what we've had this year, really. I've kind of started enjoying, for the last 2 years, I've been enjoying the podcast a lot more. I had a couple of times a few years ago where I wasn't creating content as regularly, but now it's easy that I'm coming into contact with so many interesting people, and there are so many topics we can talk about. So I will be inviting some people back who have been on the podcast before, just to see what they're doing now and to explore other topics with them. I think it's really important that I don't limit myself to things that I know something about, because while I like the conversation type episodes where I discuss something with somebody and we both have opinions and experience, that is good, because it's good to get the different perspectives. but I'm also going to do some content about topics that I know nothing about. So I'm just here with the questions. Maybe they're the questions that listeners have too, but I want to kind of push myself to do that because there's always this idea like, am I going to ask a stupid question? But if I had the question, maybe other people do too. And I think it's really good to bring expertise that I don't have, and to use the platform of the podcast as a way to bring that to other people. And really, I mean topics around language, how we work with language, communication, things that we should think about in terms of our communication, roles, different roles within the language world, things that people maybe haven't thought about, or unique roles that don't get much attention on social media, but that are still involved with languages in some way. So I'm going to do that. And I'm not going to tell you all the details because it'll be a surprise. You have to follow the podcast and find out. But if you have ideas for topics and things that you think I should cover in the podcast, then do send me a message. I can't promise to cover all of them, they may not fit, but I'm really open to exploring new topics around language and learning and working in a multilingual environment. So that's my plan for the podcast. And I just wanted to circle back because I can't remember, I should have looked it up, but it was either at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, I talked about the seven main topics that English with Kirsty is going to be focusing on, and that will also be reflected in the podcast. And I'm aware that there are some new listeners, so I just wanted to run through the seven again and kind of say what's happened with them this year. So one is Discover Your Voice in English. This is the mentoring program that I have because many of the people that I work with are not learning English. They do not need an English course. They need someone who can support them to discover their voice in English and to be the person who they are also when they're speaking English. So to make this, to bring these two parts of themselves together. Sometimes there are extra parts of us that come out in another language, but to feel more like themselves when they are speaking English. So that's the mentorship program. The second one is it's been running for about a year and a half now, I think. The Reactivate Your Spoken English, the translators program. It's not about learning to be a translator. It is not about translating. It's about people who have been working as translators, possibly translating from English, and who realize that maybe they haven't needed to speak English for a while and they don't feel as confident about doing that because they haven't had the need to speak. So it's about helping people to become more confident to speak English, maybe for presenting at conferences, maybe for being more visible with their business, for speaking with potential clients. And so that's a group program I have for them. Number three is the one that's undergoing a bit of change at the moment. Originally, it was Amplify Your Message in English. It was originally for people who are trainers and coaches and who want to share their message or their course with an English-speaking audience. I still have that, but I realized that there were some needs that people had that weren't being met. And so we also have the preparing for public speaking. If somebody has something specific that they're preparing for, I support people with that, their presentations and helping them to feel more confident before they give the presentation. And I also have plans for a public speaking course, which is not up yet because it hasn't been written. It's not complete. But next year that will be coming too. So not a specific speaking event, but for people who generally want more confidence with public speaking. Number four is Find Your Own Way in English. This is more about the one-to-one sessions that are not a specific program, but where people have a need and I can help and supporting them with a more customized English training. Number five is the podcast. So obviously you're listening to the podcast, you know what it is, but it's a big part of what I do in terms of the people I meet and the content I create. So the podcast will always be something that's there on my social media. Number six is also something that's changing. We had the Conversation Club. It's been great this year. I really like my Conversation Club groups. But I have decided that they need to change a bit because they were doing two very different things. So the Conversation Club is going to remain, as the club. And then the general firm, so the club is for freelancers and people with their own businesses, and we talk about business topics. We support one another in the smaller groups. We will still be doing that next year, but the general conversation part will break away, and then they will get their own webpage, and it'll be easier to talk about that and what happens at the general conversation meetings for people who want to practice spoken English and who don't have their own business. So all of the things that are going on this year will continue, but they will have their own web pages, so it will be easy to talk about them and to talk about what the experience is like when you participate in them, because they are different experiences. And so this all falls under the umbrella of learning with others. There will also be some webinars. There have not been so many this year, but I might bring some of those webinars back. And then the last one is the free events. So the networking for language professionals in English and in German, and the language meetups. These are free events. There is no cost to attend them. They are for people to come together, share what they know, meet new people, meet new friends, hopefully. I have, so I hope everyone else does. So those are the 7 things. And if you're new, I just wanted to give you a little look into how things work and how my content is structured and the kind of things I talk about, mainly on LinkedIn and in my newsletter. But maybe you want to subscribe to the newsletter. If you do, you can go to my website, and it comes out every 2 weeks approximately, sometimes longer. But that's where you find the new content, new events, and what I'm up to. And so finally, what did I learn in 2025? I learned a lot, and I'm not going to talk for the next 3 hours about that, but 5 quick things. The first thing is you don't have to have all the pieces in order to start. Like sometimes I am a super planner, not so much on holiday. If I'm on holiday and things change, it's fine. The place I wanted to go is closed. We find somewhere else, not a big deal. But in terms of my business, I like to have everything planned before I start, and I'm beginning to learn that that's not the way to go, because you don't know what you don't know, and there could be something better than your initial idea. So this year I've had to learn to be a bit more flexible in that way. If I think something has potential, and then start, and you don't have to wait, because if you wait and wait, like with a website, if you wait until it's perfect, you'll never get the thing published. So we were talking about websites this morning with one of my clients. I've had mine since 2012, and it's changed so many times since then, and that's fine because it's growing and evolving. So yeah, don't wait until you have all the pieces before you start. Similar to that, the second part is you can learn by starting small. Like sometimes I've thought with the German networking, for example, I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know if people want to come to my German networking. It's not my first language. Will people even show up? And then I thought, okay, I'll do one. If people come, I'll do another one. It's like sometimes you have to put a lot more, if you're doing a big launch or something. I do understand it's not always that simple, but I do think that with any idea, there's a way to start small, or to do an activity to see whether you like it, or to go to a webinar about something to find out a bit more and see if it's something that interests you. You don't have to commit to something really big right at the beginning. You can just try something out. In terms of the German events, people did come, and then the next time it wasn't such a big group, but it was also not only my friends, and I'm happy to see my friends, but there were new people coming too, and so we continued with that. I think there are ways to like test an idea to see if people are interested in the thing, or see if you're interested in the thing, if it's something that you want to do that's new or that you don't know so much about. Number 3, usually the things we waste energy worrying about don't ever happen. That's something for me to take into 2026. Like I have wasted time and energy being concerned about things that didn't happen, and that time and energy could have been used more, I would say, effectively, but just I could have had a nicer time if I hadn't wasted time and energy worrying about things that didn't happen. So it's not something you can fix overnight, but I think one of the biggest ways to help with that is to learn to trust ourselves more. And that's not so easy, but to trust that when something happens, even if it's not what we expected, we will find the words or the tools or the people or whatever it is to help us to deal with that unexpected challenge. Because you can't plan, it's going back, isn't it? You can't plan everything at the beginning. Another thing I learned this year was about patience, especially with social media, or just how many touch points there are. And how many times people have come to me this year and said, "Oh, I've been following your podcast," or "I was following your content for a few months and now I'm contacting you." And like, you just don't know that people are aware of you if you're a content creator, or that your message is reaching people. Don't always react on social media, give likes or comments. Some people do, and they're great. I love it. But I think we can get very focused on numbers, or like, oh, this post didn't get any interaction, and yet somebody might have seen that needed it, and then they can come back to you when they've had the time to think about it. So I'm not saying that metrics aren't important, but I'm saying that they're not the whole story. And that's, I guess, I learned that this year. And finally, lots of people are available and willing to help if you let them. And I'm not always so good at the last part, so I want to be better at that, because I have some really good, lovely friends and colleagues and people who will show up and will help. And I think sometimes they would be willing to do more if they knew that you were having a hard time with this or that, or that you needed help with something specific. So I think sometimes we can feel, particularly for those of us who work alone, we can feel a bit alone sometimes when there's a problem or something we're not sure what to do. And obviously you have to choose wisely in terms of whom you share things with, but at the same time, I found it to be a very generous community of people around, and I would like to think that I'm someone who will help others, and just to let them help me as well. Maybe I should think about that more next year. But overall, it's been a good year. I've learned a lot, and I hope for you too that you will have a wonderful 2026, and that you will be kind to yourselves and not succumb to this pressure of like all the you must do whatever in the new year. Like, enjoy the new year, and sure, we can all make plans and be prepared for them to change. That sometimes happens. But I hope you will, if you're enjoying the podcast and finding value in the podcast, hope you'll continue to listen and to interact. It's always good for me to hear if an episode has been useful, or you enjoyed it, or you would like to hear more from one of the previous guests, or if you have an idea for a topic, then do let me know, because I'm really open to those conversations. And yeah, thank you for being with me and with the podcast in 2025, and wishing you all the very best for the new year. And if you're listening to this after the new year, then I hope that this episode has been useful, and all of the lessons, the 5 lessons that I mentioned, they are relevant anytime. So I would be interested to know yours. Okay, take care, everyone, and I'll be back again soon.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the English with Kirsty podcast. If you have any questions or comments, my email address is kirsty@englishwithkirsty.com, or you can go to www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast, where you'll find information about the individual episodes.